I love learning foreign languages. In fact, I love it so much that I like to learn a new language every 2 years. Currently, I am working on my 8th one. When people find that out about me, they always ask me, how do you do that? What's your secret? And to be honest, for many years, my answer would be, I don't know. I simply love learning languages. But people were never happy with that answer. They wanted to know why they are spending years trying to learn even one language, never achieving fluency. And here I come learning one language after another. They wanted to know the secret of polyglots, people who speak a lot of languages. And that made me wonder too, how do other polyglots actually do it? What do we have in common and what it is that enable us to learn languages so much faster than other people? I decided to meet other people like me and find that out. The best place to meet a lot of polyglots is an event where hundreds of language lovers meet in one place to practice their languages. There are several such polyglots events organized all around the world, and so I decided to go there and ask polyglots about the methods that they use. And so I meet Penny from Ireland who told me that this method is to start speaking from day one. He learned a few phrases from a travel phrases book and goes to meet native speakers, starting conversation with them right away. He does not mind making even 200 mistakes a day because that's how he learns based on the feedback. And the best thing is, he does not even need to travel a lot today because you can easily have conversation with native speakers from the comfort of your living room using websites. I also met Lucas from Brazil who had a really interesting methods to learn Russian. He simply added 100 random Russian speakers on Skype as friend. Then he opened a chat window with one of them and wrote he is in Russia. The person replied, "Hey, how are you?" Lucas copied this and put it into a text window with another person. The person replied, "I am fine, thank you and how are you?" Lucas copied this back to the first person and in this way he had two strangers have a conversation with each other without knowing about it. Lover soon he started typing himself because he had so many of these conversations that he figured out how Russian conversation usually start. What an ingenious method, right? And then I meet polyglots who always start by imitating the sounds of the language. There are always who learn the 500 most frequent words of the languages and yet other who always start by reading about the grammar. If I asked 100 different polyglots, I heard 100 different approaches of learning languages. Everybody seems to have a unique way they learn a language, and yet we all come to the same result of speaking several languages fluently. And as I was listening to these polyglots telling me about their method, it suddenly dawned on me the one thing we all have in common is that we simply found ways to enjoy the language's learning process. All of these polyglots were talking about language learning as if it was great fun. You should have seen their faces when they were showing me their colorful grammar charts, their carefully handmade flashcards, their statistics about learning vocabulary using apps, or even how they love to cook based on recipes in a foreign languages. All of them use different methods, but they always make sure it is something that they personally enjoy. I realized that this is actually how I learn language myself. When I was learning Spanish, I was bored with the text in the textbook. I mean, who wants to read about Joe's asking about the direction to train station, right? I wanted to read Harry Potter instant because that was my favorite book as a child, and I have read it many times. So I got the Spanish translation of Harry Potter and start reading. And sure enough, I did not understand almost anything at the beginning, but I kept on reading because I loved the book. By the end of the book, I was able to follow it almost without any problem. The same thing happened when I was learning German. I decided to watch Friends, my favorite sitcom in German. Again, at the beginning, it was all just gibberish. I did not know where one word finished and another one started, but I kept in watching every day because it is Friends. I can't watch it in any language. I love it so much. After the second, third season, seriously, the dialogue started to make sense. I only realized that after meeting other polyglots. We are no genius and we have no shortcut to learning languages. We simply found ways to enjoy the process to turn language learning from a boring school subject into a pleasant activity that you did not mind doing every day. If you do not like writing words down on paper, you can always type them in an app. If you do not like listening to boring textbook materials, find interesting content on YouTube or in podcast for any languages. If you are a more introverted person and you cannot imagine speaking to native speakers right away, you can apply the method of self talk. You can talk to yourself into the comfort of your room, describing your plans for the weekend, how your day has been, or even take a random picture from your phone and describe the picture to your imaginary friends. This is how polyglots learn languages, and the best news is that available to everyone who is willing to take the learning into their own hands. Meeting other polyglots helped me realize that it is really crucial to find enjoyment in that process of learning languages, but also that joy in itself is not enough. If you want to achieve fluency in a foreign languages, you shall also need to apply their more principles. First of all, you shall need effective methods. If you try to memorize a list of words for a test tomorrow, the words will be stored in your short term memory and you shall forget them after a few days. If you, however, want to keep words long term, you need to revise them in the course of a few days, repeatedly using the so called spaced repetition. You can use apps which are based on this system, such as Anki and Memrise. You can write lists of words in a notebook using the code list method, which is always very popular with many polyglots.